Hideous Energy, episode 144.
Oh, yes, kids. We are back another week.
My head always still goes to math. Isn't that 12 times 12 is 144?
Oh, come on. Seriously?
I think it is. That's one that always stuck. Because I could do 12
you know how
up
I
until
would do
like 5 or 6.
12,
and then
12 times 10 is 120.
That's too much work.
So 12 times 11... It breaks down immediately.
Is it 12 times 11, 121?
No, that would make no sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
You would have to add...
Oh, because it's 120.
You would have to add 12 more.
So it would be 122?
2? That's 2 more.
I don't know.
David is dying.
Act like you know more about math.
Me?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
As we've established, if you don't know, if you're not a scientist, you can't definitively know something is fact.
No, I can act like I'm better
We
at
all
math.
take things on faith.
I'm a fantastic actor.
Like, I have faith that there's oxygen. I don't know that there is. I
You-
can't know. I'm not a scientist.
I think you can know that.
I can't.
You can.
I can't prove it.
The way that I think...
I can't.
Well, the way that I think you can prove it is that scientists have told you that we, in fact, need to synthesize oxygen in order to live. And
I know, but I'm believing someone else's words.
But a lot of someone else's? Is that why religion works? Are we doing this again?
Religion doesn't work, Austin. I'm glad you brought us here. This is exactly where I wanted to land.
Religion doesn't work, Austin.
Hideous Energy is a comic book podcast that we do once a week. We inevitably go into talks about how we don't know about science and also my own hatred of organized religion. Someday, maybe we'll actually talk about it rather than just
Dancing around it.
Yeah.
It's not like we're scared to talk about it, but the show has to
Not
have
enough time.
show has to have a special feel, like those times when we
Talked about 9/11.
yes, that's what I was going to say. Dramatically discussed 9/11 and how it impacted our lives.
Hideous Energy, you can find online at hideousenergy.com.
That's right. It'll take you to fanoff.com. They are our hosts. They host other podcasts as well, like RBR, Weekly Wrestling Talk, and David's favorite show, Generation Animation.
We also have a blog spot, which is
It's a fucking joke.
stupid. You can go there if you want to.
But as discussed 2 weeks ago, we need it for unknown reasons.
Not really sure why we need it.
Technologically, we need it. We need its Techno Balls.
If you're one of those YouTube people, you can also subscribe to our channel. It's just called Hideous Energy, and you can get the podcast weekly as well. Those episodes have custom drawings that accompany the audio, drawn by our good friend Emergy Peck.
That's right.
He's on Twitter at OneCheekWonder, ONE, Cheek Wonder.
Spell it all out.
Watch it on there. It's not the content itself in terms of audio is not different. So if you download it through iTunes, if you subscribe and then go watch it on YouTube, it's the same show. But you get to see all the awesome drawings and like joke gags. Emery's literally sits with us while we record and draws what we're talking about. Last week there was a drawing of someone's cauliflower dick. So if that sounds like something you like,
if you're into that kind of thing,
you're gonna love it.
If you're listening to the show, there's a good chance you're into that.
Yeah.
You also like it when I drop my phone on the ground. It's funny you mentioned the YouTube channel. It's funny.
It's not funny.
You're right, it's not. I was listening / watching our show on YouTube to see how it turned out and what it looked like and everything. And apparently when shows are posted on YouTube and it's audio only, either it's like a setting that I have on my channel settings or that this is something that YouTube does. It remembers where you stopped.
Oh, really?
So now when I open up the Hideous Energy YouTube channel, the thumbnail of last week's episode is a guy's face with a dick for a nose because that's right where I stopped.
I would say that we should have him draw less stuff about dicks, but he's only drawing what we're saying.
No, he's drawing he's taking our words
it's a reaction,
and moving them into the physical visual realm.
Yeah.
And so far, we've done a pretty good job of steering clear of the crotch. I think he made a note when I said techno balls earlier, so you probably saw that already.
I was going to say, what do you mean steering clear? You literally said techno balls.
Well, no, yeah, but normally it's much, much deeper into the... Let's go ahead and move on.
much deeper into what?
Into the crotch territory is what I was going to say.
Like talking more about it?
Yeah, I don't want to do it again.
No, we don't have to. It's okay. Well, I mean, it'll come up later.
Oh, I'm sure.
Let's pace ourselves.
Yeah.
Also, email us at hideousenergy@gmail.com. If you want to leave us a voicemail, which we will play and then potentially ridicule you or be nice.
Potentially.
Or out you as a potential serial killer. Do so.
Well, first of all, if you don't leave a name for us, we're probably going to call you a serial killer. The time has just shown that
That's
to be
not
true.
our fault.
No, that's your fault.
We can't apologize for that.
But you also could potentially call us to correct our mistakes about Lord of the Rings mythology. like our good friend Katie did.
Which that's just deserved.
Yeah, we got what we deserved in that case.
It was wrong.
I'm actually surprised no hardcore X-Men fans have called us to talk about how wrong we are about, I don't know, like Bishop's choice of clothing or something.
Have we talked about Bishop's clothes?
No, I just picked I picked a random character and then a random thing about some.
I think people know that.
Yes,
I started to say that
the X-Men are dumb. I figured that's where you're going. People know that the X-Men are inferior characters and their mythology. They don't
suck. I'm being a dick.
Yeah. That's it? You're stopping there?
Yeah. No, I'm just being a dick.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't really have any kind of thing to go off of. But hold on, we didn't say the number. It's 1720 Hideous.
1720 Hideous.
It spells numbers. If you look at your phone, there's numbers on the letters.
The numbers spell the letters.
Yeah. Who can say?
That's a fact. I can look at my phone and tell you that.
But they're both there. You can't figure out which one's more dominant.
Which, speaking of something along those lines,
I can't imagine what this could be.
Hang on and just wait. Potential spoilers for anyone who hasn't read A Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss.
Or the first book. You're getting ready to spoil something in the second book. Is it going to potentially spoil the entire first book too?
No, because I'm going to snip around what I'm talking about. There's a character in A Wise Man's Fear who says that it's weird. I've always wondered about stuff like this, like where a writer knows certain things about biology or the world and science, stuff like that, and characters who live in a medieval or like pre-industrial world, how they would talk about something like contraception and birth. Mm-hmm. And there's this character in Wise Man's Fear who's like, guys don't get girls pregnant. And has this completely like contradictory view of how pregnancy happens and how
I don't remember any of this.
The girls, it was seriously like the babies are already in the girls and the males don't even serve a purpose as far as contraception goes. I don't remember
conception.
Yeah, conception, not contraception.
Okay.
I don't remember the specifics of it, but the gist of it was that girls give birth to babies without the aid of men. And one of the other characters was like, wait a fucking second, because I'm pretty sure that's wrong. And the girl was like, no, it's not. And that was the end of the argument.
Was she a ninja? Okay.
She sure was.
They're not really ninjas.
Well, I mean, they
kind of are.
They're basically ninjas.
They're good at fighting, but they're not called ninjas.
No.
Nor do they act ninja-like.
Well, maybe they kind of act ninja-like in some cases.
Well, I guess it depends on what you consider to be like a typical ninja.
They really love pizza.
What other? Do you mean like a Ninja Turtle?
Correct. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you followed my joke.
But it's not. That's not it.
They're not Ninja Turtles in A Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss.
We also do a webcomic called Super Cute. You can find that online at supercutecomic.com. It's been banked up. They got 80 free comics for you to enjoy. Those are all illustrated by artist Brent Hibbert, except for one, which is illustrated by Austin and I.
You'll see it when you get there.
Because it looks way better than all of Brent's crappy drawings. So check that out, supercutecomic.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. Austin is at Austin R. Wilson. I am at DC_Hopkins. Hideous Energy has a Twitter account as well. I'll let you guess what it is. And finally, if you are in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area, or if you have the internet,
in the general area of the internet,
of the cyber web,
yeah,
go to www.dcbservice.com. They sponsor our show, Discount Comic Book Service.
Yes,
they make all the comic deals. If you've heard about comic deals, it's them.
That's correct.
They have it trademarked.
Comic.
If you hear about a comic deal, they're getting a cut.
Yeah.
We did an interview with the co-owner / co-founder, Christina Merkler. You can find that in our catalog on HideousEnergy.com, also on iTunes. But check that out, listen to it, hear their story. They have an awesome story. They have an awesome store in Fort Wayne. They have an awesome online presence as well.
Yep. Everything on their website is at least 40% off.
If it's your first time shopping there, or if it's your first purchase, we should say, on the site, use our promo code Hideous8, HIDEOUS, and the number 8. That'll get you an additional 8% off, which takes it up to 48%, which is just a bad deal for them.
Oh, yeah.
They get hurt by that. So feel a little bit of guilt when you take money out of their kids' pockets.
But also enjoy your comics for almost 50% off. Also, to be clear, it doesn't have to be your first purchase ever on the site. You can only use that code Hideous8 one time.
Yeah.
If you've already used it, you can't use it again.
One-time use only.
It doesn't matter if you've shopped there before. It just matters if you've used that code or not.
They have weekly deals that you can check out on the site. They also have a sister site, InStockTrades.com, which you may have heard of as well. Also has deals, so check all that stuff out.
Check it out, kids.
Read 'em and weep.
Hope you like to read. No, that doesn't really make sense. Hope you like to listen to people talk about reading.
Read our words.
Yeah.
Sound waves.
If you like to read, you might be listening to this because you wanted to hear our opinions on some stuff that you read already.
Hope you like spoilers, too, because we're spoiling 2 books that came out today that you probably want to read.
That's right. Guess what? They're bad. They're not.
Saga number 13? Is it?
I don't know.
I have no idea either. Saga number new comes out today from Image.
Oh man.
Written by Brian K. Vaughan, illustrated by Fiona Staples, and lettered by Phonographix, I believe. I'm
Really?
almost positive. I think they've lettered every issue so far, yeah.
Did Fiona Staples color this too?
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Okay.
You talk about it, and then I'll download it from Image's server real quick, because I don't have it on my computer anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I read it last week. You're going to have to help me remember it.
Oh, good.
I remember that there's a not at all on-the-nose reference to Riders, though.
Oh, you mean a completely on-the-nose reference to Riders. First up, all the characters play miniature golf. Page 1, they're playing putt-putt. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember the putt-putt?
Did I have a problem?
They went to putt-putt golf and games, which might be an Indiana thing. I don't know. Anyway, Saga's been doing this thing, which I don't know if BKV's series have always done this, or if it's something that they have just done. No, actually, maybe all of them have done it, where they take the break, because they do 6 issues. And
this was definitely built in from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, they've been doing this since the first story arc.
I don't know if it was built into... I don't think it was built into Ex Machina, because there was a long gap in,
oh, no,
in
Ex
between a
Machina,
couple
there
of those
was
issues.
a lot of slow.
That stuff didn't
late
seem
stuff.
planned.
No.
It was like, oh,
What makes me wonder,
this
though,
book isn't going to come out on time.
it makes me wonder if it was Tony Harris or if it was BKV.
We've had this discussion, and I think I told you that I read that it was him.
Harris or BKV?
Harris.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that he said that he had taken a long time on it. That series finished like 4 years ago.
Let's talk about that.
Let's not.
Well, no, because Why the Last Man had that similar thing, though, right? Where,
Let's see, I don't know, because I wasn't following it when it came out.
yeah, me either.
Saga 13, written by Brian K. Vaughan, illustrated by Fiona Staples, letters and designed by Phonographix. So yeah, she colored it too.
Yeah,
this is the same team from issues 1 through 12. It hasn't altered. From what I remember of this issue, it doesn't really have like a main. Does it have a main focus? It kind of seems.
More than anything, this seems kind of like a catch-up for the readers who might be joining the series brand new.
Well,
or
my whole thing was
sort of like it's kind of a recap.
Well, not so much a recap as much as they went back.
Yeah,
because one of the last issues,
the very last issue,
was it the last one where it ended with them hiding up inside the house?
They were all up inside that house, man.
That like tree house.
Yeah,
it's a giant tree that a guy made into a house. They're not in a tree house. It's kind of hard to hide in a tree house.
Well, it depends on how big the tree house is. Yeah. Also, their tree rocket ship, which
maybe their house isn't. That house wasn't a tree. Maybe I'm mixing it up with the tree rocket ship.
I don't think his house was a tree. Their tree rocket.
Didn't it look like it was the inside of a tree, like the way it curved? It looked like a big stump.
I don't fucking remember, man. I read that issue almost 2 months ago.
Longer than that,
probably. It kind of does serve as a recap issue more than anything. You see a soldier talking in a hospital, describing how he came upon Alana and the guy's name that I just forgot, Marco. And they had the baby, and he was trying to kill both of them because standard operating procedure is to kill both people so they can't take the enemy hostage, or so there's not a hostage crisis.
Yeah.
Riveting review.
Well, no, it's not. I don't really think it's a recap as much as it is like filling in blanks of stuff that already happened.
The beginning
because
of the issue,
they introduced 2 new characters there.
That's what I was going to say. The beginning of the issue sets up a new storyline.
Yeah, there's these 2 tabloid journalists that have fins.
Which they do. He's right. They've got webbed feet,
fin feet, and fin ears, and all kinds of fins.
I was pretty.
I have to imagine one of them's named Finn with two ends.
I hope it's that guy in those fucking righteous yellow pants because he's
got sweet pants. The other guy's got like short cargo camouflage shorts on.
Yeah. Let's just describe what these guys are wearing.
You want to just describe the comic issue by issue?
He's got a slim blue button-up with a white sports coat over it. I was actually pretty happy to see those two new characters, and I think it could be an interesting spin bringing them in because they're not going to be after these two characters because they want them to die.
Yeah.
They're literally going to be after them just to document what's happening to them.
Right.
Which I think is going to give BKV, from a writing standpoint, an easy way to kind of go into these characters' lives or have people talk about them and have it not be an info dump and not have Hazel be doing a voiceover like, this is the time that my dad saved me, and then you see Marco saving her. As far as the rest of the story, you see a couple of story beats between Alana and Marco's mom, the newly widowed Marco's mom, where she's taking care of Hazel, changing her diaper, and
they fight a bone monster.
They do fight a bone monster, which I'm not really sure what the point of the bone monster was other than cool.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's not fresh in my mind or because I hate all comics and art, but this issue wasn't by no means bad.
No.
But it also didn't blow me away.
Not very memorable for me either, and I read it today.
I don't really like how, and he's only done it twice, so it doesn't mean he's going to continue to do it throughout the series.
Yeah.
But like the on-the-nose naming of planets, like I didn't like that sex planet was called Sextillion. Like it wasn't a huge deal, but I was just kind of like, okay. And then this author lives on a quiet planet called Quietus.
See,
I was like, oh, okay, he went there because it's quiet, I bet. I wonder why he's there.
See, I didn't think about the quiet thing. The Sextillion thing
it's an abandoned planet.
Yeah, I mean, the Sextillion thing never bothered me just because it is literally just a fuck land.
No, it is, and that's what I'm saying. They're minor things, but
well, in that case of Sextillion, that one being so on the nose makes sense to me from like a
that could be like a marketing thing where it's like, come to Sextillion, it's all in the name, like that whole thing. I get that, but when you have another planet that's abandoned, except for one dude who is a writer who wants peace and quiet, like,
and he lives on Quietus.
Yeah,
well, yeah. He lives on writing world. Well, there was a
like Prozen
novelist. Fiona Staples tweeted a picture she had taken of a conversation she had with BKV via text. So he texted her while she was drawing one of the issues, and he was like, I don't know, make the moon look cool. Like, make a donut moon. Make it shaped like a donut. And then at the end, he was like, caveat, am drunk.
Yeah.
And then that donut moon shows up in this issue.
Yeah.
Barely in the issue. It's in the background, but it's, I don't know. Like, when I saw that and when I saw it show up in this issue, it made me curious more how the issues come about and come to fruition as, like, quiet.
Apparently drunkenly.
That might be it, man. BKV's trash, and he's like, it's quiet there. This is a quiet planet.
I don't know. It's good. I've been thinking kind of here lately about this book where I'm like, how much do I actually really like it? Like, how much do I...
Are you all right, man?
No, not... I do like it, but I guess looking at it from terms of, like, how original is it really?
Well, yeah,
because it's always been lauded as.
But have you been enjoying it up to now because it's original?
See, I don't know. I think part of me, yes, but then I think the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, it's not really that original at all.
It's not original at all. Forbidden Love, that's Romeo and Juliet, bro.
Well, I mean, like, this stuff is like The Will.
Yeah.
Like, I'm honestly a little bit surprised that like, I don't know, not really actually surprised, but that's a character from the Incal.
Yeah.
And that clicked with me the other day.
Like that he's called the Will?
He's not called the Will, he's called the something. And he looks exactly the same almost.
Really?
And he's a bounty hunter. Yeah. I thought about that the other day where I was like, obviously it's probably supposed to be an homage or like, because that's this style is definitely that Jodorowsky Mobius thing where it's like fantasy sci-fi mixed together.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's I wouldn't look at it as a ripoff or anything, but
well, BKV's never made it. I guess he's never. I don't know if he's talked about it publicly or not, but like in Why the Last Man, York is literally like, it's one of my favorite books. It's about this guy who's the last guy on the planet.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
That was convenient.
Yeah. Hey.
It's good. I think I'm just in a bad mood for some reason. And
Today? I can see it on your face,
maybe
actually.
this decade. Maybe my 20s.
Oh.
I'm in a bad mood in my 20s.
That's not good, man, because you're not even halfway through them yet.
Not quite, no.
I like this book a lot.
I do too. I guess I'm more just... I don't know if I was in a mood to like analyze why I do like the things that I like and the things that I love, really, because I love this book. I think it's really good.
We're always in that mood.
Yeah.
I say it sort of jokingly, but also, I mean, that's our shtick, man. I'm sure it annoys a lot of people.
Yeah, well,
we kind of can't get out of our heads.
For whatever reason, this feels different to me. Because I know what you're talking about. Where I'm like, where I've watched movies before, where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and watch Drive this time, and I'm gonna figure out why it sucks. because I'm so enamored with it.
Yeah, but was it after you had seen Only God Kills or whatever it's called? Only God Forgives?
Oh, no.
I wasn't sure if you had seen
Forgives,
that.
no.
And then you were like, all right, well, now I have to rewatch Drive.
No, I mean like the fourth time I watched Drive.
Oh, well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that as an example to illustrate the whole idea of trying to deconstruct the things that I like. And I don't know, for whatever reason, when I read this last week, I was like, why do I like that book? I don't know that I necessarily have an answer. Maybe I was just being introspective.
I think you could probably enumerate an answer.
I think I'm dying.
You might be dying. Today, however, based on body language and spatial cues that I'm getting, I don't think today is the day for you to try and figure out why you like this book. But I do think the question of originality is a very interesting question, not just in relation to this book, but in relation to almost any art.
Well, and for this book specifically, it just won best
new series,
new original series or something, didn't it?
Well, yeah, but I don't think the word original used there is used in the same context as saying something is original.
Best series, yeah.
Like because this isn't
an Eisner.
This isn't original from a lot of standpoints. Like I said earlier, Forbidden Love. That's not a new plot point.
Yeah,
that's one of the oldest plot points, in fact.
Yeah,
but the presentation of that plot within this world and a lot of other things, I think it's something that we could probably dissect a lot further than we will today. In this issue specifically, you see the Will smoking a J, getting fucking lifted, and as he is high, he has I don't know if it's a vision or what it is, but did you just type in the lifted?
I did.
David was trying to search.
I was searching for the ink out. I was listening to you and trying to type at the same time.
The high.
His name is the Meta Baron.
The Meta Baron.
Yeah.
The Will has some kind of interaction with his deceased former, like, love interest. That spider, what was her name? It was the something.
Stalk?
The Stalk, yeah. She has like 6 eyes, female like torso on top of a giant grotesque spider body. And she was killed issue like 3 or something. And he talks to her and she's like, also her tits are out. So if you're a kid, you might not want to be reading this.
Always.
Or you might want to be reading this, if you know what I'm saying.
I'd want to read it.
Yeah. I don't know though, man. Boobs on spiders, like that's kind of, those don't compute for Austin.
I mean, it doesn't.
That's not a spider though.
She also doesn't have arms. There's a lot of stuff going on that, like, not that people without arms can't be attractive. In case you have arms.
In case you have arms?
Don't feel privileged because you have arms is what I'm saying.
No, that's the thing. I can absolutely talk bad about people that have boobs and are also spiders because
they don't exist.
They are not there. Well, he talks to her, and it is probably some of the most heavy-handed writing in the series thus far, because it's one of those. It's a hard it might just be a personal preference thing, but it's like most of the time, if a dream sequence comes into a story, it's very hard for me to view it as anything other than metaphorical. And in this case, it's not even close to being fucking metaphorical because she's like, hey, let me tell you exactly what you need to do and why you need to do it.
Yeah.
And then she does that. Out of all the issues so far, that was the weakest writing I think I have seen from BKV, where a character literally is like, hey, this is the plot, do this.
Well, so to me, it's not weak yet because this world, like if that happened in Y,
yeah,
I would probably be on board with that a little bit quicker because that's our world. With this, like it could be her.
Well, yeah, I'm
like
just saying,
there's a half girl ghost with the other group of people.
No, yeah, that's true. The mechanism of having her show up is not really what I'm upset about. More so is I'm upset about what she says.
Yeah,
just because it is so direct, and she literally does tell him these are the things you have to do now. And then after he quote unquote like sees her, or I don't know what, we might get more in the future.
And on to play devil's advocate, she's not saying it in terms of like, these are the things you have to do so the plot progresses as much as she's saying like you as the will, like you have to let stuff go.
Yeah.
You have to move on. Like you should bang Gwendolyn because you guys obviously have a bunch of sexual tension between each other.
Yeah.
And you need to adopt the little girl that you saved, the little slave girl, which I think they call her slave girl.
And she says you can't call her slave girl anymore. You have to name her. Which is what they then do at the very end of the issue.
Which I thought that was a cool last moment, but since they made it a last moment, I also was like, Sophia, what am I not remembering? Who's Sophia?
I think it was Sophie, wasn't it?
Or Sophie.
Yeah.
Like, what relevance does that have? And I don't know that it does it?
I don't know.
Was the Stalk's name Sophie?
Potentially. But also potentially not. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that fucking picture in Why the Last Man. When
we're like, what?
What are you showing us? Because he's like, I'll call her Sophie. And I thought there was more story to read.
Yeah.
Like, I tried to go to the next page, and I was like, oh. And we've talked about cliffhangers in the past.
Well, I don't mind that as a cliffhanger because...
Well, it's not a cliffhanger, first of all.
Well, as a last page, as like a splash page. Because it's a pivotal moment in terms of him making a decision, maybe.
Potentially,
of like wanting to move on or whatever.
Yeah.
But...
I like to think about it from that aspect, that his character is changing, and that's why he names the girl.
Yeah.
And in that case, it is noteworthy.
Yeah.
But to have it be the very last page, I don't know if it's because us as comic book readers, specifically readers of monthly comics, are so used to the last page being something where we're like, oh, which Trillium has.
Well, I mean, you're right, but also I think that's his style because he does that in every book he does. Yeah. He does a thing on the last page. He's done it through Saga. He does it in Y. He did it in Ex Machina. He definitely did it in Runaways. Like that's.
I guess I never really paid too much attention to it.
Him and Kirkman are big on that.
I knew Kirkman does it. Bendis kind of walks the line. Kind of walks the line.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bendis does both because there's times in Ultimate Spider-Man where that happens, and there's other times where they're talking and they're like, "I don't know what I'm going to do," and he's like, "I don't either."
I think BKV
next month.
I think BKV kind of does that too because, I mean, that's what this issue is, or that's what it seems to be.
Yeah,
it might have more significance because the
name
to
call it a cliffhanger is wrong because it's
not a cliffhanger,
right? Well, I'm saying like because there is a consistency in terms of the layout of the page because it's always a big splash page. There's always some type of seemingly importance.
Yeah.
I think it's more of just like a payoff of some type. Whether or not that's
what, you mean
like a literal payoff to where a plot point is finished or elaborated, or like he clearly wants you to feel an impact.
Or like a character arc getting another section of it built.
Because Kirkman does that too where he's like, oh, okay, I can't punch someone's eyeballs out their butt. So I'm going to have to do something where, like, someone's going to have to say something.
Emery liked that one.
He's going to draw it now, too.
I would imagine so.
Someone saying something to where there's some type of impact. Well, because it's not a cliffhanger because you're not waiting. It happens to Walking Dead a lot.
Well, I like that then. I'd like that then, David.
I'd change everything.
Well, no. Like, the ending to this issue feels very stilted to me, but I think there's kind of no way around that when you're telling a story month.
That's what I'm saying. That's my whole eyeball butt punching point. Is that like
I appreciate that.
It can't be that every month.
Well, it can.
Well, yeah.
And in that case, it's
boring.
Red Hulk.
Yeah, or a lot of bad comics.
Yeah.
Like there's no impact anymore because you're just doing the same thing every month.
It reminded me of a conversation. What you just said reminded me of a conversation I had with Seth.
Butt punching?
About punching asses and eyeballs coming out of them.
Oh, yeah.
No, Seth, he of the action film lore. My friend Seth, the action lord.
Seth MacFarlane?
No. Davidson.
Seth. The cartoonist.
That's him, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He wears 3-piece suits.
Does he?
Seth, the cartoonist?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wears he dresses like he's in the 20s.
Like he sleeps in them?
What? That's a wild leap. You just took.
Like all the time? Like he's always wearing that? Or he favors them?
His car's made out of 3-piece suits. No, that's what that's all.
That's what he favors.
He favors those. He wears like fedoras and.
No, I know what you're talking about because that's how he is in.
It's like Tom
paying
Wolfe.
for it.
Like Tom Wolfe wears like fucking.
Is he a wolf?
He is a wolf. His parents were not that imaginative.
Laser wolf.
No, Tom Wolfe.
Getting dragged back into that. Star Wolf.
He's an author. He wrote The Right Stuff and stuff like that.
Thomas Wolfe?
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, I know. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Who wrote the
Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test? Yeah.
Who wrote the Witches book?
Which is what?
Bonfire of the Vanities.
Witches? What are you talking about? There is a book called Bonfire of the Vanities written by Thomas Wolfe.
Thomas Wolfe, right? Okay.
Has nothing to do with witches.
Was there a movie of it with like Jack Nicholson? Isn't he in the movie?
That's called The Witches of Eastwick. That's
what I'm mixing it up
different
with.
author.
Okay, before you move on with your point.
I don't even remember where I was going at this point. Oh wait, I just got it.
All right, keep it
back. Yeah.
Before that though.
Okay.
Because I'm enamored with names that have anything to do with wolves.
Okay.
To tie it back into the Incal.
Tobias Wolff is another one.
Tobias Wolff. To tie it back into the Incal though.
Yeah.
Which is obviously was a point we brought up. Is very similar in tone to this book.
Sure.
There is a character in that book who is a man and has the head of a wolf. And his name is Kill. His first name is Kill.
Kill.
And his last name is Wolfhead. His name is Kill Wolfhead.
Wait, do you think...
I'm not making that up.
I believe you.
It's a great book.
Do you think that translated poorly and his name's not Kill Wolfhead in the original language? And in English they were like, I don't fucking know, man. Just call him Kill Wolfhead.
He's got a wolf head. I bet he likes to kill.
And everyone's like, yeah, just do it.
I don't know. I bet it was translated literally. Just because
that sounds like a very literal translation.
Well, I mean, like intentionally, because yeah, I mean, if you translate everything literally, it's just madness.
Well, no, yeah. When I
was watching, what was it? Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah.
Totally torn at it because I wanted to watch it and I could not. It's so expensive because it's out of print. But it was like fan subs on it, and you could tell it was literal translations. It was seriously like I was tripping on acid.
Well, dude,
because people were screaming stuff, and they're like, "That is the feeling that I have right now about this moment." Feeling like it's just craziness.
Well, it was like I'm using that program at work, trying to learn Portuguese and French, and it'll tell me, "Here's how you say this, and this is what it means in English, and here's the literal translation." And it's like "tien" in French, which seriously means like "good day" or some shit like that. But literally, it's like
"day good."
It's like "how doing." Like, the literal, it makes no fucking sense.
Well, all the tenses in Portuguese are backward. Like if you say,
well, I remember you told me about when you're climbing up that ladder.
Yeah. That's when it clicked for me.
You were saying
"ajuda eu," which means help me.
And they were like, no.
Which means help me translated literally, but it's "me ajuda," which means me help.
That's
or like I help.
That's what you were saying. You were like, "me ajuda, me ajuda."
No, "me ajuda" is what you should say.
Oh.
But translated literally, it means "me help" or "I help."
So out loud you were saying it
backward.
And they were like, no. Because I remember you said they were really nice to you and weren't like, "you fucking idiot," which is what we would do.
I was probably like 9 or 10, so...
I would hope we wouldn't do that to a 9 or 10-year-old.
Well, what I was going to say, though...
We'd be like, "put the caralho."
The meta baron thing.
Which I was like, "bitch, fuck her mother."
Yeah, or cock. Could also mean cock or dick.
That's what I choose.
Also, the... Got it. Also, the meta baron.
Yeah.
When you read it, they aren't like, "Hey, meta baron." It's like in this book,
the meta baron,
where they're like, "Hey, the meta baron."
Yeah.
Like it's very
okay.
Seems very intentional.
So month to month issues.
So 3-piece suits.
3-piece suits and month to month issues. You're trying to build character arcs, and you have to put pieces in, small pieces at a time, especially when you're doing stories like this, which involve large cast of characters.
Mm-hmm.
So to have an issue end like this, while it feels very strange reading a 22-page comic that comes out every month, when you see it...
Does that feel weird to you?
If you would let me finish.
Okay.
When you read it in a larger storyline with more pieces there, the characters are going to be more well drawn. That sounds weird.
Well, I was going to say that earlier about the whole, like, it's hard to look at this. Like, this could be a pivotal character moment for him.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't, it's not.
No, yeah.
It's not a finished story, so
it's not.
it could be a ruse. It could be, like, him being, like, trying to trick this ghost thing.
Sure,
or, like,
yeah. Could be a lot of things.
Or he could be going crazy. Like, it could be.
Well, the thing I was talking with Seth about, and it kind of deals with this because you said you can't have every single cliffhanger be someone's eyes getting punched out of their butt.
Of course.
Which you can, but then...
if you want a good comic.
Well, yeah, the impact of the eyes being punched out of the butt then becomes lessened after you see it so many times.
Yeah.
But also, if your aim is to build any of the characters and have them be interesting, you're probably going to have a harder time doing that. I'm not saying it's impossible.
No.
But he and I were talking about Elysium. Mm-hmm. For listeners, David and I went and saw Elysium. Written and directed by Neil Blomkamp, the guy who did District 9, which David and I had both rewatched before we went to see Elysium. It's one of our favorite movies. We fucking love it. And one of my things with Elysium, one of my problems with it, is that it feels very flat as far as the characters go. And I don't think it's as nuanced as...
I don't think that's a problem that's,
that's
rare to you. I think you're just right.
Yeah, I think that's very strange. I didn't expect this.
No, I agree with you. It's not... Well, see, I don't know. It's not... That's not a focus like it was in District 9.
No, see, that's what Seth and I were talking about is that...
Did he watch it?
He hasn't seen it yet, but he's going to. That Elysium is much more of an action film.
Yeah.
And that's its focus.
It's just like suspense, thriller action.
Yeah.
Like...
Whereas District 9, there is action in it. I wouldn't describe it as an action film because there's seriously like pathos in it, and you feel for Vicus, and his character arc... there is a character arc, whereas in Elysium there's not. And Seth was talking about how...
Well, see, that's one of the things that District 9, I think, makes it such a unique movie is that, no, I wouldn't call it an action film either. I would seriously probably be like, it's a sci-fi action drama. Like, that would be... I would have to put it into basically 3 camps because it's very sci-fi. There's enough action in it for you to look at it and be like, if you're an action fan, you'll be entertained. Yeah. And then there's a ton of drama in it in terms of...
Are we going to do that segment today?
Vicus van der Merwe's character.
Or do you not have enough energy to do it?
We can do it. I've got some hideous energy wrapped up for you, man.
Emery and I both agree. You're fired, and he is now on the show with me. No, but he was talking about how you don't want to be on the show. Elysium potentially has less pathos or less emotional payoff or character arcs because he had a higher budget.
Yeah.
And in District 9, he had a lower budget, so to balance the scales more, he focused more on character.
He also had a co-writer on District 9 too.
That's another thing. But and Seth wasn't saying
and a supervising producer.
Yeah, he wasn't
who was a
Peter Jackson,
good filmmaker.
Yeah, he wasn't saying just because you have a big budget story gets sacrificed.
No, but I mean, yeah, that's obviously like that would be where I would go too, where it's like, okay, all the stuff that I wanted to have in my other movie that I couldn't because I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
Now I've got a massive budget.
Well, yeah, like Elysium is without a doubt one of the prettiest movies I have seen in a while.
Oh yeah,
and it is great looking.
Yeah, it's the
action
best
sequences
design
are awesome.
movie I've seen so far this year.
Oh, it's fantastic. And as far as Saga goes, BKV, it's weird to think that he would write. I think that Bone Monster is written into this issue as just a break, an action.
Yeah,
a break for action, and then the writer shows up and says like, "Ha ha, writer's right." Huh.
He says he calls them cunts first.
He says,
which I was like, oh.
He's drunk and says, "Are you cunts here to take back my advance?"
Yeah.
Which BKV is fucking testing me because I don't know that any other writer that I read a lot could get away with as much fucking meta commentary as BKV does, and I don't mean get away with it where it works because it never ever works. Just that I stomach it.
Yeah.
Because I love BKV. I fucking love his writing. And every time he does this, I'm like, oh, you fucking rascal. And then I
you mean the
my
C word?
Teeth. No.
Oh.
Meta commentary.
No, I know. You just mean, yeah, but you said that immediately following us talking about him dropping the C word. You mean the writer.
Yeah. He can say cunt all he wants. I don't care. But him being like, writers, like wink.
No one makes a. What was it? It's like nobody makes a good first impression like writers.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. He's saying it sarcastically.
Yeah, it's like
writers make the worst first impressions.
Essentially, is the message. Which
I don't know. It makes me wonder how much of it is just like us being fine tuned to his frequency at this point. Because if that was the first time I'd ever seen him do it, I probably wouldn't have thought anything about it.
Well, it's like the first time we read Why the Last Man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, well,
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, like with Bendis now, if I see Yiddish,
yeah,
if Bendis says something Yiddish, I'm like, oh, okay, it's Bendis. Or like if I see him like name drop one of his friends or something like that, like I have a character named that, I'm like, okay, move on. It's Bendis doing his thing again.
Yeah.
But like when I read Powers the first time, I didn't like he was like, yeah, that's Agent Brubaker. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, Brubaker. Because
Brubaker wasn't big at that point, and I didn't know him.
In the last issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, wasn't something called Brevoort? It was like Brevoort Firm or some shit like that.
It was slightly changed. It was like Breve Root or something. I forget.
Shit like that.
Oh, I can't wait to tell you this.
I was upset.
And I forget which one it was. I think it's the one that Allred draws, which I think is FF.
Future Foundation, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's called that.
It might just be called FF.
Yeah. The one that's got like Ant-Man on the team and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know the context of the story. I just saw pages of it. But Matt Fraction and Tom Brevoort are in it.
Oh my god!
Like, and they're seriously like, I write comic books, and the other one's like, we work at Marvel. Like, it's super 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 meta. Like that's why
that's upsetting.
Tom Brevoort's Twitter avatar for a while has been
him.
It's Mike Allred's drawing of him from the comic.
Well, speaking of that, did you see that? There's a panel from the Joiners that Stephen Christie posted. Did you see it?
I don't know, maybe.
Marquez drew in the entire creative team in the background of a scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But none of them were like, I draw comics, I write comics. They're just...
Does Marquez have a beard?
He does, yeah.
Okay, I'm happy then.
And also R.J. Ryan.
Does R.J. Ryan have 3D glasses on?
He has a bow tie. It seriously looks just like Josh. Like, that one, the rest of them all look good, but the one, Josh is like leaning against Stephen Christie. It's fucking perfect. I smiled.
Is Stephen Christie back there too?
Yeah, he's got a sweater on. He looks dapper as fuck, like always.
Man, that guy pisses me off.
Yeah, I know.
I'll never look as good as he does.
No, me either.
It makes me so mad.
We should beat him up and...
Whatever dark thought you had, keep it.
It was a lot of different...
Keep it to you.
It was like dark, disgusting, weird. Like all these options.
Then you're like heartbreakingly romantic for a second.
We should beat him up and then dress his wounds.
Nurse him back to health.
Take care of him for a night.
Trick him into falling in love with us. I give Saga a 5.5. I give it a 6. I give it a 6.
You know what, man? This is going to be a hard book for me to rate. And actually, I meant to bring this up earlier.
I give it a 6 because numbers are stupid.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They're so fucking arbitrary. And we got some messages from Tim Gibson, the guy who does Moth City.
Yeah.
Talking about how hard we are on books, which we've joked about before. And I almost thought about us just straight up stealing the rating method from Seth Haney of Good, Okay, Bad.
Oh, yeah.
But adding either one or two other ratings in there.
So assigning a word?
Yeah. Because
so like excellent, good.
Yeah.
Like putting good, okay, bad in there and then putting 2 in between.
Yeah, like good, okay, bad, and then in between those like excellent
would be above good.
Yeah.
Okay. Just do it now.
Well, okay, let's think about it. Because the worst to me would be bad.
Okay.
And then
between bad and okay
it would be bad, okay, good, and then excellent. So we're just adding one word.
That would be 4. Bad, okay,
good,
not bad. I'm trying to think of other words that we would say that.
Well, no, I mean we're basically dealing with like synonyms in a lot of cases.
That's fine. We could do good, okay, bad, and excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we should ask Seth Haney since we're literally ripping off his idea and adding a word. It would be like if he did a podcast called like The Hideous Energy.
That's not true.
Well, it's almost exactly the same thing.
Well, I mean,
He's just adding a word to like that's his brand. Like that's literally it's goodokaybad.com.
I know, and we're telling people to go there. He's welcome.
All right, so if you're gonna do it on that scale, what would you give it?
I think it's good.
I would give it a good.
Well, it's like because that.
Well, see, the review isn't the number.
No, it's
like
not.
so that's the thing. Like, it's a joke.
Well, I mean,
it's a joke, and like we joke about like, oh, it's Fantastic 6. Like
to say the review isn't the number though, almost completely gets rid of the reasoning that we would ever have for giving anything a number.
But see, I disagree. I hate that we have numbers. I like doing it, and I like it when other people do it because it adds another layer of context to like, okay, I talked about it ad nauseum in whatever way that I did, and then also to provide a different like rubric or scale. I also on this scale gave it this.
Yeah.
Because if I see that, like video game reviews that a game got a 9, then I'm like, oh sweet, and then I go and I read the entire review. I don't go buy the game.
This is the weird thing is I think the video game community, specifically their journalism departments, depending on the site, obviously, have always been kind of way fucking better than comics are at rating their games and giving them an actual number that means something. Because when I see that like The Last of Us got 10 out of 10 by certain sites, I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
But then it's like the newest issue of fucking Deadpool kills Deadpool.
Well, I think it's because
10 out of 10.
I think it's because they're more reserved. I think that if a game like that's why I like seeing like Famitsu or Game Informer or Joystick or Kotaku or these places have you can like read the games that they gave perfect scores of, and you go back like 2 decades.
Oh, it's like 7.
Well, it's more than that, but yeah, it's like it's almost nothing. And when you look at it, it's like the Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid 2,
really big
yeah,
games.
Like huge games that meant a lot.
Well, I think part of it also is because
and you don't have that at CBR where exactly like you said, it's like X-Men 3 by Brian Wood gets a 6 out of 5.
Yeah,
like it's a perfect book. Which
I just had this book's baby.
Like we talk about it so much, but I mean it's true.
Total,
like
it's total
you immediately
bullshit.
Saturate the market
bullshit.
with these reviews that are meaningless. I mean, like read the review and see what the person thought. But I agree. I think part of it is that also it's potentially, I don't know, maybe it is just as hard to break it down. Like if you look at a Game Informer review, they do like overall, they do presentation. I think it's gameplay, sound.
Well, see, that's the thing.
And then replayability. Like they always have those things that they break it into like a rubric.
I think in the case
which I am big on that kind of stuff because I'm a giant nerd.
I like it too,
and it's really structured.
I think in the case of video games, it's probably easier for them to see if something is failing. Like if I literally can't play your game.
Yeah, you're right.
If it's
not as subjective.
Yeah, because you have to make it so that I can do these certain things because I'm controlling it.
Yeah.
Whereas with a comic book, I'm taking this information into my head, and a lot of the times I'm going to be rating it based on personal preference, on how it made me feel.
Right.
Which certainly The Last of Us would get a high rating on the feels, as Tumblr would say.
Well, I've read plenty of stuff and either not liked it or had a lukewarm reaction to it, and then it's like that Jeffrey Brown thing with the art that his grandpa made for him, and then like 5, 6, 7 years later read it again and been like, holy crap.
Well, it's like that. It's like Sandra Lerka. Like, I bought that CD and I was like, man, this is fucking stupid. And now I love him. So it's, I don't know. We can continue giving numbers instead of ripping off Seth Honey.
I mean, let's just do all three. Let's talk about it. Let's use our excellent, good, okay, bad, and then we'll do our number.
Okay. I give it a 5. It's good.
We're back. We're back at lunacy again.
I mean, I don't know. Would a 5 translate to okay?
To me, it would.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it doesn't have to. That's why this is all stupid.
Comic books. Next up. It's East of West, number 5. It's written by Jonathan Hickman, illustrated by Nick Dragata. Read me the rest of this creative team, David.
I know Russ Wooten lettered it. Frank Martin did the colors.
And god damn it, Frank, your colors are pretty. I like them a lot. That's actually one of my favorite parts of this issue specifically is the coloring. Because there are some flashbacks, and they do this sort of like washed out, almost, not sepia, but it has like a filter over it.
Yeah.
And god damn it, it's good.
It's kind of faded.
Yeah. Man, it's great. This is the continuing saga of Death, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse who escaped his fate to die with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and stayed alive. And that's about the easiest way for me to describe a tenth of this book to you.
This let me think. This Hawkeye and Ultimate Spider-Man, I think, are my 3 favorite books right now.
Really?
Yeah, Lock and Key's up there too. It comes out so not irregularly, but
At this point, I consider it finished.
yeah, it's pretty much done.
I would say this. Did you say this, Hawkeye and Ultimate Spider-Man?
Yeah,
Probably mine too, man.
these are those are the 3 books I look forward to the most, and they are pretty consistent in delivering quality.
I'm
and
super
surprising me.
I'm super far behind on Science Bad. What's that series?
Manhattan Project.
I want to get.
I have 1 issue left, but I just finally read the first trade. I let our friend Tyler read it.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, it's so amazing. Do you have the second one? He's like, and I told him I didn't. He was like, I'm going to buy it and you can keep it because I'm going to be pissed off I don't have the first one.
Oh, yeah. That's really dumb of him. What's his fucking problem?
I didn't argue because I'm getting a free comic.
Yeah.
So don't tell him that.
I want him to buy.
And
I want him to buy comic for me.
And I literally hadn't even read it. It dawned on me. I was like, yeah, I've read the first couple issues.
Why?
Oh, maybe I should read that book.
I have all of them because Image gives them to us for free.
Oh yeah.
I have them all saved up on my iPad. I just haven't read them yet.
I don't know why I don't read them on there. I think probably because I started buying the trades.
I'm gonna get the trades eventually too.
Yeah. Well, I know, but I'm gonna buy the trades of this too.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though I've already read it, but I don't know. Look, man, I have a mental illness.
Me too. I mean, we found each other for a reason.
I realized today that that's my biggest fear.
That you have a mental illness.
I was driving home and I was like,
"What do you mean? Like you don't?"
Not that I have one. My biggest fear is losing my mind, where like I don't know.
Well, yeah, but would you know then?
I don't mean in the context of comic books and like having the spines line up on my shelf.
No, I know what you mean, but
no, I mean like
in that scenario.
No, I wouldn't know. That'd be like having it's similar to having your biggest fear be like dying
Or like
because you'd be dead.
Schizophrenia or
that stuff.
Like I just lost the word completely.
Dementia,
or that Nicholas Sparks book, The Notebook.
Alzheimer's.
God damn, I couldn't remember what it was called.
You're like A Beautiful Mind.
Well, no, we're playing
The
fucking 20 questions basically. Or like Password.
It's not. My biggest fears aren't relevant. This book's really good.
I fucking love this book.
This book, to me, is going to be on the excellent point. There's nothing else like it other than nothing. Other than a lot of stuff. To me, this book is very original, even though it obviously draws on stuff. But this is something that when I read it, it always seems like the world is so new.
It's literally using, it's using the exact same plot as Saga and as Trillium, which is Forbidden Love.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is.
It is, but it's all about...
This has a lot more to it than those books do, at least so far.
I was going to say, Trillium's first issue.
Well, I mean, like, in terms of... Like, because there's still stuff in this that we've touched on in the first 2 issues that have not been explained or talked about.
He is...
Like, the world is so dense. Like, that's the thing for this book, I think. It makes me... I mourn for the potential readers of this book that read the first or second... Like first 2 issues,
didn't stick.
And then like couldn't read any more of it because I kind of was that way when I read the first issue. I had to read it like 3 or 4 times,
very hard.
Because when I first read it, I was like, "All right, Hickman, this is nonsense.
What the fuck are you doing?" Well,
it's such a rewarding book every month.
It is, dude.
It's so good.
The highest compliment that I can give it is that this is a world that I can get lost in.
Oh yeah,
and it is a world that I feel not the exact same way because that's impossible, but very similar to how I felt when I discovered how large Star Wars was.
Yeah. And
how all of this world was this huge thing, and there were so many possibilities and so many characters.
That's exactly what I meant. It was I forget, maybe like issue 2 or 3 that we reviewed, maybe even the first one, where I said the feeling that I get reading this book, basically kind of the same thing you said, is it makes me wonder if that's what people felt when they read Mobius stuff.
Yeah.
When they saw like the scope and the uniqueness of his worlds, where they were just like, oh, there's nothing else like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is so its own thing.
All of the characters, the creative team has figured out a way to make all the characters feel absolutely real. It's a combination of everyone, because Hickman's writing, lays the groundwork.
Dragado's art is so good in this book.
It's so fucking great. It's so fucking great. And then seriously, Frank, my bro Frank,
Martin,
the colors,
Yeah, they're amazing.
God damn it,
Well,
they're great.
without having a good colorist on this book, a lot would be hurt because
Probably, yeah.
the other three horsemen of the apocalypse are so defined by their colors.
Well, all of the characters are. All the characters have
are.
some element of color to them
they
that
are.
sets them apart, because Death is this stark white, and you see their spoiler, the baby in this issue is white, and in those flashbacks, Death is black. Do you think that was a color choice, or was that something about his character specifically, that back then he was this like almost shadow, and then he changed? Because that's kind of what it looks like, and that when he gave birth to the child, he doesn't give birth to the child. That's a possibility in this book, but he doesn't.
Well, it makes me wonder. See, that's the thing. Like
is that just a color choice?
I don't. You know what? I don't think so. My guess is that it was because they always change, right? Like
seriously, dude, that panel, that second to last panel of that like cowgirl leaning against the wall is one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen in my life.
Well, like they get rebirthed and stuff, so it makes me wonder if when they had their rebirth and they came back as kids, if something happened.
He went through like a molting stage because he didn't get reborn.
No, he didn't. But obviously, like some stuff happened, and you're starting to get a little bit of that now. With
so far. Have you not seen this yet, Emery? Oh man, Emery's seen all this shit for the first time.
With like Jalian, however you say her name,
Jalian,
getting her hands cut off, like, and they came to get the baby, but they didn't kill the baby because they knew
think
that
the baby is the beast of the apocalypse,
which is crazy.
And then they put the baby in this like cerebro chamber where they're teaching it all of these things. And the AI that the little boy is interacting with is asking him questions, and it says, repeat your favorite piece of prose to me. And the little boy says something, and the AI says, who wrote that? And the boy said, I did. And then the AI goes, how do you feel? And the little boy goes, I don't know what that means.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, oh fuck, this is nuts.
It's super creepy.
When I read this book, it takes me over completely.
Oh, you also find out in this issue what the bros with the death are.
They're witches.
They're witches, yeah.
Yeah, he calls them witches.
Which is pretty cool.
This book completely takes me into its world when I read it.
Oh, it's amazing.
It does exactly.
The last page is so sweet.
It is, man.
He's riding that like grasshopper
horse cannon.
That grasshopper horse cannon.
Yeah.
And then one of the witches is exploded into birds in the sky, and the other one is exploded into wolves.
I'm not kidding, dude.
It's so good.
I get fucking like goosebumps when we talk about this book. It is fun. It is thought provoking. It is so separate and unique from other books that are on the shelf right now.
Hickman is like, just from what I've read, I don't know him personally, but like his creative journey is one of the most inspiring things for me ever, because this dude, like, if it's all in the back matter of Nightly News, like I was at work, I think I may have told this on the show probably. I know I've told you.
You have that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to borrow it tonight.
In the back matter, he talks about how...
I haven't read it, but I read Pax Romana and didn't like it.
I like Pax Romana. That's what I was going to say, though.
It's because you're wrong.
All of his stuff, all of his earlier stuff is... well, he talks in that book about how he was at this conference and how he realized that basically the reason he hadn't gotten anything published or done in like 10 years, it was because of himself. It was because of specific things. And he goes at length about it. I'm sitting at work. Literally, I start crying because I'm taking calls at this call center thinking like, reading this comic and just thinking like... And so
I've had those nights.
You can read all of that in the back matter. But then you have this dude who like is in North or South Carolina, wherever he lives, who's nobody. And then he starts putting these books out where, like, Nightly News, he writes, illustrates, designs, letters, does everything himself, like cold mails it to Eric Stevenson. And then after that, you've got Pax Romana, you've got, I don't know the exact order, but Red Mask from Mars, Transhuman, Red Wing, then the Manhattan Projects, and then eventually the stuff from Marvel.
Well, Manhattan Project
that
was
came later.
After Marvel
but
stuff.
I just meant, like, his creator-owned stuff.
Yeah.
Where, like, with each book, it seriously is kind of... And you can tell going for like early on to later stuff, there are all these like explosions of completely original, like a voice, but they're not that fine tuned. So then you get down to the point where each one gets a little bit tighter, and eventually you have East of West.
This seriously is this creative team. They are making a fucking. It's not even a world. It's a goddamn universe.
Like
they make a universe for you every month.
This is one of the books like. When you hear people say, like, it's a class, like, it'll be a classic. Like, this is the kind of book. I wouldn't say that about any book because I have no idea.
No,
but
they would have to fuck this up significantly to make that not. I mean, it could happen. It could be awful. I mean, I've read the end of Red Mask from Mars or Red Wing or whatever one it was, and it could take a wild fucking turn, man, and be bad. But as of right
I don't
now,
remember the end of either of those books.
I think it's probably because they make no sense.
Some of them make no sense because I'm a dumb stupid.
Well,
and then other ones make no sense because I think he's talked about that, where he doesn't believe in stories that have definitive, like cut and dry black and white endings. Like he likes ambiguity and stuff, which I love that concept and agree with it.
I was gonna say,
but obviously, if you're too like Pax Romana is too ambiguous at the end.
I was gonna say
it doesn't really have an ending.
While I can see someone saying that they enjoy ambiguity, and I like ambiguity too, but I mean, if you're telling a story, too much ambiguity can make the reader feel cheated or the viewer. And if you make me feel cheated, I become an opponent of your film very quick.
Yeah.
Because if it's like Lost.
Yeah.
It's exactly like Lost.
And I understand why you don't like Pax Romana, and I agree that it's not perfect, and that's one of the things that I look at where I'm just like, it doesn't really end.
Well,
but the thing that I like so much about it is that I had never read anything else like it.
Yeah, I think
it had such a unique style.
Well, in that case, I feel like he used time travel as a way to give himself an out as not having to plot the book.
Yeah, well, from the beginning, it was just like, here's a record of history.
But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about East to West. And kind of that's the review. I mean, there's not really a whole lot else we can say about the book. I don't really want to recap it too much. It's kind of... You see Death interacting with Zhao Lian.
Comes out today along with Saga. You should buy both these books.
You should buy all three of the books that we're going to talk about. One of the things that this absolutely has nothing to do with the plot of the book, but there's a panel when it's a flashback of Zhao Lian fighting on the battlefield, and it's seriously something crazy. Like that was the first day she killed 100 men in one day.
Yeah, and
I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I just turned into a fucking little kid who loves violence.
It's weird because this book, if it didn't have the dense storytelling and world that it does, it would be another book where it's just like, oh, it's good because it's
pretty,
cool.
Yeah, and cool.
Like that guy exploded into wolves. Which don't get me wrong.
No, it's awesome.
I love people get blown up into wolves.
Well, he's on a grasshopper horse cannon, and it's neat looking.
Yeah,
but the characters have
very
reasons,
awesome world
for living, and the things they're looking for, and you can tell that the relationships they had were meaningful, and you have to be reading this book. But in one of those flashback panels, Zhao Lian has her hair done in a way that makes it look exactly like Mickey Mouse ears. And if you squint at the panel, it's Mickey. It's Mickey holding a sword.
Well, it's Kingdom Hearts, bro.
That's what it looks like, man. What would you rate this book on our ripped-off scale from Seth Honey and then our numerical scale?
See, it's weird because I get caught up, and it's really going to sound like a contrast after all that. Like, to me, what we were talking about is the series. This issue is great. Like, it's a great issue.
So that you give it a great?
I give it a no, I give it an excellent. I said that already, right?
Oh,
on that scale. Yeah, I give it an excellent. In terms of like a numerical value, I'd give it like an 8.
See, I was also going to say that I give it an 8, and then I was going to give it a great. But was that even on our scale?
It was bad, okay, good, excellent, right? Yeah.
Okay. Bad, okay, good, excellent. I guess I would give it an 8 and then give it a good.
I hate everything.
Which, that's such a fucking that makes me so mad that I could say.
Don't let it make you mad.
Well, no, that I could say this book is good, and somebody would be like, "It's better than good," or like,
well, yeah, but I mean, the only reason I give you crap about that is because we just got done talking about it forever.
Yeah.
If someone told me that it's good, then I would be like, oh, okay. They think it's good.
Well, see...
I woun't be like, you could have said excellent. I wouldn't get mad at them.
But that's part of it. But I think it's also inflection.
It is.
But like it's back to Seth, the action lord. When he asked me about Elysium, I said I liked it. And he said, just liked it? And I was like, yeah. And we both knew what that meant. We both knew that...
I guarantee you I know how you said it.
Well, yeah.
I bet you went, I liked it.
See, that's the thing.
Because that's how I would say it.
Yeah, and if I said it like that, the inflection, my delivery...
my assumption would be like, Oh, it's probably not super amazing, but
Yeah.
he liked that.
Well, and then Seth's response meant that we were saying things to each other almost with or in between the words that we were actually saying based on body language and all kinds of shit like that. So I think that might be one of the failings of this podcast is when people are listening and me being like, it's good. They can't see me talking to you guys about it and how animated I am and how much I get into the book.
Well, they can hear your voice, though. They can hear inflection.
I give it an 8.
Hopefully they listen to the 10 to 15 minutes of praise that we threw on this book before.
Who knows?
What if people literally just fast forwarded to
listen to
they're not done talking about it yet, and then they get to the end and we're like, I give it a 5. That's what we gave. That's what I gave Saga, wasn't it? Or
yeah, we both did. I thought.
Okay. Last book up, Trillium #1, written and illustrated by Jeff Lemire, Jose Villarrubias.
He helped him color it.
Yeah. Was it him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Villarrubio, I thought it was.
This book you've seen and heard a lot about, probably, because it's all over the internet. So it's a flip book. Half goes one way, half goes the other way. It's a mirror tale of one woman in the future,
Nika,
who is an archaeologist. Read this last week, so you're going to have to help me. And another dude in the past, it's circa World War II.
His name is F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Do you remember his name?
No, I don't.
It's World War II, though, right? That era?
No, it's World War I, I think.
Okay.
Because I think it's in the 20s.
Okay.
It's set after the war because he's having flashbacks of the war.
Antebellum.
He's not actually in the war. He was in the war.
But which war?
I believe it was World War I.
Okay.
I liked this book. I think the rest of the issues are going to either hook me completely or push me away from it. Because this first issue is good. It's very, very dense as far as words.
Especially on her side.
A lot of dialogue.
That one page where she's riding that moon buggy is...
There's one page where she's talking into a recorder because she's a scientist / archaeologist or whatever and is taking notes on something, and it's very dialogue heavy. Kind of expositional in a bad way because she's basically
she's recapping what happened before the issue started.
She's telling you the plot. It's not terrible. Lemire is a good writer, and that stuff reads believable, and it's not so obvious that he's just recapping things. But there was one piece of dialogue where the main girl, Nika, was talking to her superior archaeologist, and the superior said, but what about the Antibithians? What about the people who live on this planet? Antibithians.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
that too.
Oh, okay.
I probably would have known that Antibithians is not human.
Well, she says, what about the Antibithians? And then I think it's a page later, Nika is then talking about going to study them. So using those two pieces of knowledge, I, as a reader, would have been able to put together that they were the indigenous people of the planet.
And they're getting their, are they getting their funding cut, or something's happening to where they're not going to be able to stay as long as they thought they were? Because Trillium is this plant or a flower that...
It's a flower.
That is is it going to help them discover a cure for something?
Well, there's this sentient virus called the Caul, Kaul, which is kind of a homonym for call, as in Cull, meaning to kill a lot of things at once.
So I thought about call, Call.
Maybe, yeah. It's a sentient virus, either way, and it's adapting to the cures that the humans have been making for it. There's only 4,000 humans left in the universe. This takes place in the year 3,797 or something like that, so way the fuck in the future. But this popped into my head as I was reading it, and it's a very nitpicky thing, specifically because you're already reading a sci-fi book, hard sci-fi even, where you're dealing with actual pieces of science like defeating viruses and, space travel and stuff like that. They're talking about how they're running out of space, how the viruses followed the human race across the galaxies, and they're running out of space, literally. That's impossible.
What did it mean, habitable space?
Yeah.
Like planets?
It was talking about habitable planets, but that's the thing, dude, is there's 1 billion galaxies.
Yeah, I know, but could they have potential? It's like we're like what, almost 2,000 years in the future. Isn't it possible that they could have
found every single habitable planet ever?
Or maybe they scanned like they figured out a way to scan everything, and there's less planets than we thought. Or like, because we just assume that there's more planets because there's more galaxies, right? Could they be empty? Could they have less planets than we think?
Could they be empty galaxies?
Is a galaxy if there's no planets in it?
No, a galaxy literally
is it defined by space?
A galaxy is a group of stars, and not every star is going to have planets orbiting it.
Right.
But I think it's like in Contact. It's basically a statistics game because there's a billion galaxies.
That's what I'm saying. I guess my guess would be that we figured out a way that there's less, or maybe they jumped.
I don't know. Well, it was a dumb.
Again, we're not scientists.
No, we're not. It was a dumb thing that popped into my head. It just seemed. It seemed almost like he didn't research that part or didn't think about it too much. It didn't bother me to the point where it affected the book, but it did make me wonder how
good of a writer he is or isn't.
It made me wonder why anyone would pay him to make comics. I joke, obviously. I love Jeff Lemire's stuff. I'm happy to see him doing this book specifically because his stuff at DC with the superheroes or any of that stuff, while I never thought any of it was terrible, except for maybe his Superboy stuff, it's because you're dumb, Emery.
Well, his Animal Man's good.
I did like his Animal Man a lot, but I didn't get into it anywhere near as much as I would get into his other stuff.
Yeah, he definitely shines with creator-owned stuff. I saw Matt D. Smith, who we talked to briefly on an episode in Chicago at the Archaea thing.
What? Matt Wilson?
Did I say Matt D. Smith?
You sure did.
Matt D. Wilson.
Who's Matt Smith? Is he Doctor Who?
Matt Smith was one of the doctors, but I think there's another. Is there another one at Comics Alliance named Matt Smith?
I don't know.
Matt D. Wilson, though, he writes at Comics Alliance. He did a review of this, and he talked about how it's interesting because it's almost kind of like the antithesis, or like the that means opposite, right?
It does.
the opposite of Sweet Tooth. Like Sweet Tooth is long form. You have very little information being parsed out. Like this is a miniseries of 8 issues. Like it's super dense with like all the information being thrown at you immediately.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have not similar elements in terms of like they're not like real world. Like there's post-apocalyptic, there's science fiction. But he was interested to see how it's going to play out because Lemire isn't going to have the luxury of 50, 60 issues or whatever. He's going to have to build the story completely differently than he did with his other stuff.
Well, also, like he said in Sweet Tooth, a lot of the plot devices were we don't know this.
Yeah.
Or this information is not available.
Which is the opposite in this, which it seems that they know everything.
All of the information is available. I'm sure there will be some things they don't know.
Well, she goes and hangs out with the aliens and gets, like, super loaded, right?
She does get, like, she gets lifted on some Trillium. She eats some flower petals, trips some fucking balls off.
Is she throwing up, space high, or is that her tongue?
I don't know.
Okay.
What I thought was that she was hallucinating.
I think she's definitely hallucinating.
So I don't think she's actually throwing anything up. I think she thinks she is, but it might also have been something actually coming out of her. She pukes this like Mayan symbol into the air, and then she goes.
It's a pretty awesome spread.
It is an awesome spread.
It looks very terrifying.
It's awfully scary. She goes into this pyramid that's in the middle of the aliens' camp, and she walks in through this door, and she comes out, and she's in the fucking Amazon jungle, 1920s, and she sees the guy from the other side of the book, which that genuinely surprised me, and I was like, oh, what? That's awesome. Then when I read the other side, had less impact.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was an interesting concept to me because I already knew that she was going to find him because that's exactly what happened in the issue I just read. It was interesting to see the scientists or astronauts who had gone in before her, that they had been tortured and killed.
Do you think that if you would have read the guy side first, that it would have been?
I don't know.
Do you think that you would have seen it coming? Well, you would have seen her, so you would have known that it would have had to connect in some way.
I don't know. That's an interesting question because if I read the guy's side first and got to the part where they find the astronauts who have been tortured and killed and tied up, I don't know that I would have looked at him and immediately thought space aliens or astronauts from another time.
Yeah.
But also going in knowing what the book is, knowing that it's a sci-fi book, and knowing he's dealing with things like that, I think probably would change my perception of it also.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's probably just a necessary evil because unless he was going to show them interacting further, but he doesn't do that.
That's a big issue, too.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's like 5 by 6 feet.
Yeah.
Like it's
hard to read.
You need a couple people to help you read it.
Yeah, it's very difficult to read.
like
to
reading a bed
purchase,
sheet.
it's just awful. A lot of trouble.
I liked it. It didn't.
Did you hear that? His inflection?
I liked it.
Yeah,
that's fine.
You said it just like I said I liked Elysium.
No, I wasn't criticizing you at all because that's how I talk about it too.
No, I know you weren't, but that right there, I would know what you mean.
It's not amazing, but I thought it was good. I thought it was well made. I liked how everything mirrored. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the one issue of Watchmen where
it's what's the word? It's a paranogram. It reads the same frontwards as it does backwards.
palindrome.
Palindrome. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, but couldn't that still be symmetrical?
It could be, yeah.
That's what I was saying. I meant in terms of like the beginning of the book, the last panels, like how it mirrors itself.
Yeah.
That stuff was cool. Obviously, the mirror's art is beautiful. He's a great artist.
The colors are sort of weird.
It's more
because it's kind of messier than I was expecting.
Well, it's definitely messier than Sweet Tooth or any of the other colored stuff that has been creator owned.
Well, Villarubia helped him on Sweet Tooth too.
I think he just colored it, didn't he?
Villarubia did?
I'm pretty sure that Lemire didn't color it as well.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Thanks.
I like to just say stuff.
Say something.
I don't know.
I don't know that counts.
I mean, it's something.
That wasn't a word, though.
You did say a word.
You
said say something, so I went with
You didn't say anything, though.
I'm so sleepy. I'm so tired.
It's a good issue, and I'm definitely going to read the rest of the series.
Yeah, I like 8 issues. That's a
very good number.
That's a good number for me, especially after reading this first issue where I'm like, all right. That's fine. If it were like a new ongoing series with not no end in sight, but we know we're in it for the long term, I would be like, I'll read a couple more issues and see how hooked I am.
First of all,
8 issues, there's a much higher chance that I'll stick around.
I don't know that he could sustain this pace if this was going to be an ongoing. Because this issue has a lot in it. This is the art. His art is more detailed in this than I've seen in any of his other creator-owned stuff.
Yeah.
The coloring is different. You can see a noticeable difference to it. It's watercolors, but it it looks watercolored.
Sweet Tooth felt like it had a lot more flats.
Yeah.
Like stuff didn't have as much.
That's
like
true.
A wall was like all brown, like the same shade or something
more
like that.
definition in some of the coloring.
Yeah, you're right. Not messy is the right word, but also not in a bad way.
No.
Like messy in terms of a lot more energy. I don't know. I guess involved. I don't know what the right word is.
I don't either. I'm not sure what you're trying to say.
Ostrich. I feel like it's very ostrich.
Go with hammer.
It's very.
One thing that I did notice, you're going to be happy about this, was the lettering. Specifically when Nika was talking to her robot/AI partner Essie. I thought those balloons were really neat looking.
Those look sweet. I liked how they did the translating. Like they only had part of their language translated.
Yeah.
I thought that looked pretty cool.
It was neat
because that translated, no pun intended, well into my head where I was trying to think about how it would sound or how it would come across.
Hearing a different language.
And if I see letters I don't understand, they just become noises in my head anyway.
Well, it makes me wonder how they did those. Like if Lemire illustrated them or if they had the letterer illustrate them.
I don't know. To me, it looked like...
it's kind of like web dings.
Well, to me, it looked like if you open like a .exe file on a Mac, it opens it in TextEdit, and it kind of looks like that.
It's Adabithian. You're reading Adabithian.
Yeah. It's how...
what if that's what it is? What if that's a plot point in this book?
Steve Jobs shows up.
And then Nika hits execute on her exe file, and the Adabithians are like,
we have discovered their language at last.
Okay, did we rate this already?
No. On our newly stolen word scale, I give it a good.
Yeah.
And a number scale, I give it a 7.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I will give it a good, and it's a 6 for me.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Do those make sense?
Who cares? I mean, yes. I'm not going to talk about it again.
No.
I'm done talking about it.
I am talking.
I'm going to say a number. I'm going to say a word. And if it doesn't make sense and you're confused, if you ask me, I'll explain. But if you're at home, you don't get that luxury.
No. So thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Top 5.
Hell yeah. Top 5 time.
Top 5.
Haven't done one of these in a while.
That was the remix.
Yeah, it was. Top 5 obvious fucking planet names. Brought to you by Hideous Energy. David, you want to go first so we can put you out of your misery?
Sure. My number 5 is Chlamydian.
That's a good one. Don't want to go there.
After you.
Do you want me to go now? Or
Yeah, let's alternate.
number 5, fart.
Is it like a play on words or?
Nope.
See, I have one that's a play on words, but it's we'll get there.
Planet fart.
I don't want to go there.
You can pretty much guess that it's not going to smell great.
I can't guess.
Going to be kind of warm. Yeah.
I wanted
depending on the day.
some of mine. I wanted to take existing planets and like do spins off of them, like play off of that.
Yeah.
So my number 4 is Lars, and it's a planet full of dudes named Lars.
Oh shit, that's scary.
I mean, maybe they could be nice.
They could.
They're not clones.
In
It's
my-
just a bunch of dudes named Lars.
It's like you give birth to your kid and you're like, let's name him Lars, and then someone in the family's like, no!
Put him in a rocket and shoot him to
Send
Lars.
Number 4 on my list, saxophone.
Okay.
Planet saxophone. It's very sonorous, sort of pleasing,
I would go there.
gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were just calling me a gent.
Gent.
It's very pleasing, gent. My number 3 is pubis.
That's a good one.
I guess it could potentially be comfy.
Is that a play on words?
What?
Comfy? Were you joking?
No. It could be comfy like if it was thick enough. Like you could stuff a nice mattress full of pubes if you had enough.
Well, also pubis could refer to the bone, the pubic bone.
It doesn't. Not on this planet.
Not on your, not on this planet.
Unfortunately, I have to be the one to tell you that it is pubes.
Well,
It is pubic hair.
number 3 on my list is Bardrinkus.
Bardrinkus.
You know what you're doing when you go there.
Yeah.
It's a fucking party planet.
I'm not joking. That one could show up in Saga.
Bardrinkus?
Yeah.
It could. I haven't spelled out where bar is capitalized, drink is capitalized, and then us is capitalized, so it's pretty fucking on the nose.
So we have 2 left?
Yeah. I'm excited.
This is my dumbest one.
Well,
My number 2 is another play on words of existing planet.
okay.
And it's called penis. Because
I'm
of
surprised that's not your number 1.
Venus, you
Sure,
see.
yeah, I got it, yeah.
I started to try to do something more creative, and I was like, nope.
Plateau.
Give the people what they want.
You should have put that at number 1.
I'm pretty proud of number 1.
I'm expecting a lot from your number 1.
It's more complicated. Penis is great in its simplicity.
It is very straight to the point. Number 2 on my list.
Like any penis should be, right?
That's exactly right, David.
Right.
Just like any good penis. Number 2 on my list, Premium Rush.
Shred the
Not as on the nose as it could be, but if you have knowledge of Earth culture, you know what Planet Premium Rush is all about.
Yeah, they're about
shredding, wicked ass bicycles,
delivering messages,
Monster energy drinks,
very racist performances,
sort of very, very racist,
like uncomfortably
stereotypical,
racist,
very disgustingly hard to watch racism.
Yeah, no, it is.
Planet Premium Rush.
All right, number 1 for me is Alpha Fingarmi. So that's where I leave us.
Alpha Fingarmy.
Yeah,
That is
finger me.
That's
In case you didn't get it.
No, I got it. And I like it. I like the work you put in.
Alpha Fingarmy and Penis are the two that I want to go with as my top two.
Alpha Fingarmy, it sounds sort of violent. Like, I don't want to go there.
What? Getting fingered is violent?
Well, no, it sounds like they're going to finger me.
Yeah, but what you need to do is let me finger you, because you obviously
Let-
haven't been fingered the right way.
Well, no, that's the Alpha Fingarmy.
If you're scared of it, then you're going about it the wrong way.
Well, it sounds like
Just let me finger
it
you.
sounds like the Alpha Fingarmians.
I don't know that it's a planet as much. It might be like a system.
The Alpha Fingarmy is a system of planets.
I don't know. I guess it could be the Alpha Fingarmians.
Yeah.
All right.
You
feel like they're an aggressive people?
It's what it sounds like.
Okay.
Number one on my list is Punchy Kicky. It's a fight planet.
Yeah.
Get your ass kicked. Kick other people's asses.
Brian K. Vaughan, these are all trademark Hideous Energy, so don't try to steal any of them.
Absolutely. If Saxophone, which I stole from The Simpsons, or Bart Drinkus shows up.
Or Drinkus, I think, could.
I don't know about fart. That one.
I was going to say, likewise, Penis. If he's like, we're going to go to Penis. We're flying to Penis.
There's like 2 pages of everyone looking at each other. Like, seriously? Has no one tried to rename the planet yet?
We have to kill your mom, Marco. She is clearly insane.
Hazel, we're changing your name to Lars. The cliffhanger.
Have you ever been alone in the woods and you needed a hatchet, but also you kind of wanted to read Action Comics?
Yes.
That's happened to me. Only it was kind of a similar situation. I was in the desert and I needed Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes.
Luckily, DCBS was there for me. Discount comic book service. You can find them on dcbservice.com.
Yes.
Online, they will throw out parachutes of supplies and comics, little like parcels, like in Lost, where they drop food
Yes.
onto the island. Is that your line?
No.
Okay. And get you with your comic book fixins.
They will.
DCBservice.com. You can get so much awesome stuff on there for discounted prices.
A lot of really good prices.
Anything you can think of. If you want to buy that gross Catwoman issue, they got it.
That is there.
If you want to read it, they're going to charge you for it, but they'll charge you like half off for it.
They will give you a really good deal on it. You can also follow them on Twitter.
DCB Service, yeah.
DCB Service is their Twitter handle.
If you're in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area, stop by their store. We've already told some hilarious stories about stopping in there. Like they'll punch you if you want them to.
We've said a lot of really funny
high
things.
five. Seriously, if you go in there, we'll play it straight this time. They'll have a conversation with you and talk to you.
They'll talk to you. They'll be nice. They'll sell you some comics. And then right after you leave, you can go to the Chinese place that's next door.
Yeah, it's great food.
We almost always go there.
We always do.
Go to DCBS.
Go to DCBservice.com and get some comics.